Okay, cool. Yeah. So sorry. What was you saying about fasting?
Yeah, just it's slowly becoming more mainstream. It's taking off. It's advertised everywhere. People are always talking about it. There's lots of PTs like yourself online on Instagram, even Facebook ads, where it's the benefits of fasting, this, and that. Did you know this, and that? And I've been doing it a few years now, but
Mm-hmm.
taking it seriously for the last year or so, to the point where it just becomes second nature, and I'm not even sweating after a day's worth, to the point where I'm planning in the future to try and do 40 hours, 60 hours if possible.
So what is the main reason for doing it? Like why are you continuing to keep up with this fasting? What's its benefits to you?
If I was to say one word, anti-aging.
Mm-hmm.
You slow down the aging process. You stop production of free radicals. You stop that oxidation of cells. You stop that slow degradation of, at the top of a chromosome, you have the telomeres. Telomeres after every mitosis cycle, you're losing, 1 or 2 bases out of the billion base pairs. You get this thing called a Hayflick limit, which is where the cells are unable to divide after a point in time. This is what we consider to be aging, and it all links, like in Ashkenazi Jews, for example. They're some of the longest lived people in the world. They have a hyperactive form of this telomerase, which prevents or delays little chunks each time being taken away from the DNA. And a lot of their practices, cultural practices, is fasting. It's a extremely ancient practice, if you
exactly
not to get too religious, but you read the Bible, you read obviously there's Ramadan for the Muslims, Jews practice it in some sense. These cultures and communities of people, they are long lived because they are essentially stopping themselves from degrading at a slower level than everyone else.
Yeah, that for me was one of the main positives, I would say, from what I've read about fasting. So just to sort of give a layman's version of what you've just said, essentially what's happening is the cells are going from a state of replication to a state of restoration. Would you agree with that?
In a way, yeah. I guess if it's layman's terms, we'll call it that.
Yeah.
You're basically just everyone's cells. We're all degrading. Like it's the old saying, we're all slowly dying, but
we're all dying.
We're all dying.
Yeah.
This simply is just delaying it massively. I mean, massively delaying it, stopping the free radicals, which just destroy genetic tissue, just destroy the cells, just bind with cells and denature proteins, everything. All right, layman's. Layman's.
I still think it's understandable. So I did a 36 hour fast.
I saw that.
When did I do it? I think it's coming up close to a week ago now.
How did you feel?
Pretty good, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's for me personally, because obviously the aim for myself has been to put on mass in relation to competition, like strong strength competitions.
Yep.
So it's almost been like a chore for me to consume food. So, on average, I would say over the last 12 weeks, maybe not last 12 weeks, prior to lockdown, the last 3 months, let's say, 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day, which is an effort, to say the least. But obviously, with lockdown occurring, it sort of snapped me out of it a little bit, I guess. Not worrying so much about the numbers on the scales. And to be honest with you, I got to the point where I just couldn't be asked to eat. So I thought, you know what? I felt unhealthy because I was consuming so much shit.
All that metabolic burning, all that calorie burning, all of those, again, free radicals. Just
yeah.
I'll put in, but the other thing is another word that I'll say at the medical community as well. Just do not take seriously enough. Think about your GPs, what they test for. Test for your bloods, test for what's hypersensitivity. The thing they don't test for is insulin.
Yeah.
Insulin resistance. This I could go on and on about things that insulin interacts with, things that insulin blocks. So another thing with fasting, the idea is that you want sensitive insulin. You want that insulin to not be leaking nutrients into the cell. So when insulin comes along to the cell, opens a receptor, it's got your macros, it's got your fats, it's got your carbohydrates, it's got your proteins, and it's storing those nutrients in the cell.
Yeah.
When it's efficient, it nicely puts in the right amount. When it's inefficient or insulin resistant, it's just like this, just putting everything in. So you get massive weight gain, you get a pre-diabetic condition, which is where you're always feeling hungry, you're feeling agitated, you're feeling nervous, you're getting a lot of sensations at the end of your digits, bad eye vision, it's diabetic neuropathy, things like this. Fasting can, it's now proven, I'll send you some links later on,
Sweet.
it can almost reverse type 2 diabetes because of the reset of the pancreas, the alpha and beta cells that are in the pancreas. There's little, I'm going off on a tangent, but you know what I'm like with science and stuff.
Yeah.
It's called the islets of Langerhans. These are what create the insulin. And when they're at their best, when they're at the peak, it's when you burn fat like that easily. So
I know for myself, like I've maybe not fasted, but certainly with carbohydrates, I've manipulated them in the past with great success.
Great success.
Great success. Yeah. So obviously, timing of carbohydrate consumption has a massive impact on body composition. So it's where it's in the past. That's where it's very well, and I guess that comes down to the body's ability to work properly. I guess work efficiently.
Whenever I have conversations, and I'll go on to this topic later. I've got like my own little list as well of things, but whenever I've had conversations with people about why we don't need as many carbs as we consume, it's quite simple. It's how much of a human body is made of purely carbohydrate. You're talking 0.5%. You're talking, and these are called glycoproteins that are on the skin. That's what the body actually synthesizes carbohydrates for as their actual properties. Otherwise, it's purely used to create glucose. I mean, I won't get onto the keto stuff and all this stuff. I mean, I could even say that for another conversation sometime, but
definitely
fasting's just such a huge topic, a huge thing. But I always ask them, why do you consume so many carbs? And it's like, oh, well, yeah, that's what I've been told. It's like, it's just, you don't want to listen to it. You want to research it for yourself. But the reason people feel hungry is because carbohydrates interact with a hunger hormone called ghrelin. And then you've got the satiated hormone, which is your leptin.
Yep.
And basically, carbohydrates are telling your body, alongside insulin, oh, produce more ghrelin. Now, then the ghrelin's saying, eat more. And so people binge, and they binge on more carbohydrates, and it's just a really bad feedback loop.
Yeah, I also think it's the quality of the carbohydrates as well.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So yeah, I know that's like for me, for example, I suppose it depends on whether you want to gain weight or not. But when I was looking to put on weight, I was actually going to Mackie D's on a regular basis, just because of like you know what it's like. You know, if you've ever gone to like a fast food chain restaurant and you've eaten within the space of like 15, 20 minutes after having eaten that thing, you feel hungry again.
Yeah, it's
Pizza is a prime example for me. Like I'll smash in extra large pizza, and at the start I'm like, yeah, I can sort of like get through it. By the time I finished, I feel really full, and then 10 minutes later I'm like searching for food again.
It's this gelling. It really is, and then that's the response on insulin, and then insulin's blocking glycogen production as well. Because I'll go into it a bit later to kind of chronologically piece this together, so to speak, for anyone who watches it. But insulin blocks so many beneficial hormones, especially in men as well. Not so much in women because it produces a lot of estrogen, and that's okay in amounts. Depends what type of estrogen that is, but that's too much down the scientific rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm. I think we're frozen here. You're back.
Finger absolute insanity. Am I back?
You're back. There
Hello.
You
Am I back? Hey, I'm back. Right, Arnie. Grazing 6 meals a day. Your old style nutritionalist telling you to do that. You're creating a hill of insulin spikes that are just slowly damaging your endocrine system, whacking out your hormones all out of place.
Right.
And fasting again is just leveling off the playing field. So another thing for anyone who doesn't know it is, once you have an insulin response, which only takes 10 calories or more to activate, it's like a barking dog basically. That takes up to 6 to 8 hours to stop, and it plateaus like this. It goes like this for up to 4 hours, then it starts to drop, and it will go back down to a resting blood sugar rate of, you're supposed to have 1 teaspoon's worth of blood sugar, basically blood glucose, in your system. Things I've looked at recently is a modern Western diet, people have 20 to 30 times as much. And this is where the brain fog, I could go on about sugar as well, but basically the amount of carbs, and like you say, consuming that pizza and then be like, oh, well, I want another one. Massive spike. So again, fasting, it'll change your life. I've convinced so many people, not even by, you should do this, you should do it. No, they actually ask me because they see my stuff and they're curious. And I think to relate this to lockdown, is that people are exploring their options, like you've explored your options with fasting and such.
Yeah, I just think a lot of it as well is it's easier to do. So for me, quite sedentary at the moment, and if I was highly active, then it might have been a different story. Mainly because my body's just not used to not consuming calories. I'm sure it would be different for yourself, and people who practice it on a regular basis, they might be able to operate completely normally. But because I knew that I was going to be relatively sedentary for that 36 hours, it wasn't an issue for me in the slightest. Like because my discipline's pretty good. Once I set my head to something, I'm pretty, track with it.
I've seen that.
Not an issue. No hunger pangs. But saying that, if it was another instance where I hadn't mentally said to myself, like, look, we're going to do this challenge of not consuming any food, most probably would get some intense like cravings at some point during the day. So I think a lot of it as well is like the for me, one of the main reasons why I had to go at it was because it's a bit of discipline, and many people would argue that they don't like discipline, but I think it's integral. I think it's extremely important to have that discipline, that self-discipline as well.
Yeah. There's a really good phrase on discipline. I've got it in my bedroom somewhere, and I used to question it, thinking that doesn't make sense, but discipline equals freedom, because I think if you can discipline yourself into something, you then have the freedom to go and look at that piece of food like 20 hours into a fast and go,
it's not controlling
don't
you.
need that. Yeah. And that's the freedom of it. That's the general discipline of it.
I think this is the issue with a lot of people overweight and discontent with their body composition. I don't think it's necessarily just that. I think it's the fact that they feel like they've failed because they have no control over the situation. Something is controlling them. Yep. Ultimately, we need to eat food to survive. However, do we need to consume as much as we consume? Most probably not. No. And the quality of food.
We graze like cows.
It's only because of modern advancements that we're able to eat on basically on demand. Like whenever we're hungry, we're able to consume food.
Yeah.
Whereas realistically, our bodies are like the human beings are dated machines. As such, realistically, our bodies are designed for times of famine and fasting, I guess.
Yep. This is such an ancient thing. I mean, grazing is 50, 60 years old. We have been fasting as animals, as chimps, and then as humans, millions of years. Mm-hmm. And we've lost our place with it. I mean, when I last did a 36-hour fast, which was a while ago now, I felt a real sense of spiritual connection with.
Likewise, I agree. I can completely understand where you're coming from with it. For me, the discipline of controlling my calorie consumption, and I've done this for many years, maybe not so much as of late, but the goal has been different.
Yep.
But when I was most mentally content was when I had the ability to decide when and when not to consume food. I was very, very disciplined with it. And but I've done a few fasts in my time. One fast that I did in particular was I think it was Christmas Eve. So on that day, I was like, right, I'm gonna fast, mainly because I just wanted to do what everybody else wasn't doing. I also went for a 5-mile run, which might not have been a good idea. I felt extremely lightheaded after that, but I do get where you're coming from with the spiritual aspect of it, and I think you appreciate things a lot more as well.
Oh, absolutely. The freedom to just see. Look, I mean, there's a little bit of kind of hubris here, let's say, but you walk down the street and you're like, I've not eaten for a day. I bet you just ate. I bet you ate your toast this morning. I bet you had your drink, and you grazed again, and you did this. And I'm like, I mean, I look at that person. I think, I hope you snap out that one day. But in the meantime, it's just like, yeah, I'm onto something good here. I feel this. I feel it working for me. You feel clean as well. You
do.
Mental cognition is amazing.
I felt like that was one of the main benefits that I received when I did that 36-hour fast the other week. Just mental clarity.
So on a monk fast, as it's nicknamed, did you read much into autophagy?
No.
So after 24 hours of a fast, you start to undergo autophagy, which is basically translated from the Latin as self-recycling.
Okay.
Your body, it's now looking for nutrients because there's no outside source of it now. You are free of free radicals at this point. they've been mopped up, and then your body will start to mop up dead cells. It will start to clean out your blood. It thins out your blood plasma as well, stuff like this. It turns over the cells. The cell replication becomes more efficient after 24 hours. The mental clarity starts becoming, you get this like, oh, wide-eyed effect of, oh, I notice things now. My surroundings have become more aware to me. People might be thinking, oh, this guy sounds like doing drugs or something, but
I suppose, like, would you say as well, if it's like a shock to the system, because, for example, somebody like myself who doesn't really do fasting that often and has quite a high calorie diet, for me, for my body not to receive that, would you say that could create some sort of, initially, some sort of stress that releases like an adrenal like response?
Yep, you're absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
It will in that case cause a stress response, cortisol, which is good in the short term. Cortisol, the inflammatory response. There's another thing I've forgotten about. I'm going to keep that there. Inflammation, the other thing that's good that fasting does. But you go into a hyperglycemic state when your insulin is so resistant, so used to processing calories. You have very high amounts of insulin in the blood. When you suddenly deny your body of calories that you used to, 4,000 or 5,000 in your case, that is a shock to the system. You're right. Adrenal response, cortisol response.
Yeah.
Everything's on alert. You're in hunt mode now. You're like, I need to eat. I need to focus, because that's how your body is. It didn't realize that you can just go to the fridge and your mind's just telling you not to do it. There's another point as well. Inflammation. Another point of why fasting is so amazing. Most humans alive right now are so stressed, so full of cortisol, long-term chronic cortisol, which promotes acute inflammation response. Inflammation being basic immune response, very good for fighting things like viral infection and such. Not good for fighting bacterial infection, which is what fasting is amazing for. The benefits of that as well, clearing inflammation from the joints, the muscles, from, again, the feeling of the mental clarity that's moving along those lymph fluids out of the brain that have accumulated from digesting so much food.
Mm-hmm.
I could go on about that topic as well. When you've done fasting, do you feel less inflamed?
It's hard to say. I know what you're trying to get at. I know the feeling that you're trying to explain.
So when I said clean, when you feel clean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was, I think, to be honest with you, one of the reasons why I did the fast was because I felt unclean, which sounds really weird, but I just naturally wanted to do it because I felt uncomfortable. Like I needed to have a cleanse, because obviously, like, I'm a coach and I advocate healthy living, but do I adhere to healthy living? Sometimes not. I'm a character of extremes. So, there's certain things that there's certain aspects.
You can't be 100%, mate.
No, you can't. And to be fair, like, from a mental aspect of it, I've done it before where I've tried to live that holistic life, and mentally it doesn't really serve me personally. It actually makes me worse. So I think there's always a balance with anything, including fasting.
Yes.
What would you say is the optimal time frame to do a fast?
So I'll put this into hours, days, and a week, because you've nicely got me into my next point. So a really well advocated and well studied thing is alternate day fasting, or DODO. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
one day on, one day off.
Yeah.
I like to try and do my fast early and finish early. So if I want to do a 24-hour fast,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to maybe eat for 2 hours the previous day from either 10 a.m. to 12 or 11 to 1.
Okay.
And then getting over that insulin response I talked about earlier, on a night time, those neurons in the brain are firing, and I just want to do everything. I want to run as well. I want to my body's just like, wow, okay, we're clean again. We're doing this. And then the reason I do it at that time as well is because you have your melatonin circadian rhythm cycle, your sleep cycle.
Yeah.
And you start to produce the most growth hormone between 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So you have let's say here on the camera, you wake up, you have a little spike in the morning, you have a little testosterone spike in the morning, and then at 10 p.m. it slightly drops to 2, and then it goes back down.
Yeah.
This is the period. Go on, mate. You was going to say something?
Yeah, sorry, it's just a bit choppy. That's all. Yeah, I was so sort of related to the subject, but not at the same time. Sleep, like the quality and the timing of your sleep, is massively important for that growth hormone release.
Massive.
Something which I would say is one of my worst aspects. Sleep pattern. It's improved. It's improved massively since the lockdown because I haven't been working, obviously, ridiculous hours. But prior to lockdown, I was doing like 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. and then getting to bed for like maybe 11, 12-ish, and then repeating that. So say go to bed at like 12 and get up at 5. You know, it's not
I'll give you a more extreme example, not to like, I can do better than that, but working on the doors for 10 years, I'm now 30. I'd get to bed 4 or 5 a.m. and then some mornings I'd be waking up at 9. I'd have 4 hours sleep. Sleep was awful for me. The lockdown has been kind of a blessing in disguise, really, because I've caught up on sleep that I've not had for 10 years.
Absolutely. Same for myself, mate. It's in all fairness, it was the missing link. I was when I did that competition at Titled and Strong, most probably looked one of the best shapes I've ever looked. Mostly the strongest I've ever been. However, my sleep was absolutely atrocious, and I felt internally terrible. Even though I looked good, mentally and physically, mentally, I felt absolutely shocking.
Sleep is you get your big three, you get your exercise, you get nutrition, sleep, and I would argue every minute of the day that sleep is the most important one of those.
Well, what I was doing to combat that was I was getting, and I know it's not as efficient as getting that sleep between, what did you say, 10? If you sleep at 10 o'clock and you get up at
10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Yeah, 10 till 2. That's when you're getting your growth hormone release. And obviously, if you're sleeping like an 8-hour shift, if you're sleeping for 8 hours, you want to be getting to bed for 10 and maybe getting up at 6.
Yep, that is an ideal thing because you're waking up, especially in summer, you're waking up with the light, you're getting that natural melatonin sleep hormone cycle. You'll feel amazing.
To be honest with you, like when I've been getting to bed, I wouldn't say like early, but I've been making a conscious effort to get up earlier. And I feel like a completely different person now. I feel very, very productive. I feel a lot more content and happy getting up at that time. But at the same time, I'm most probably getting to bed a little bit earlier.
Feel a lot more human.
Yeah. I feel actually normal for once.
You were never normal, Dave.
No, never
but,
normal.
you know,
No. Bit
we
more
can,
normal than I was before.
only,
yeah,
only a little bit, mate. Only a little bit.
it's interesting.
To add on to that point with the fasting and why I time it at say 12 or 2 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So fasting. So here's a little stat for you. One of my alarms is going off. Nice. Sorry, turn that off. And we're back in the room. Brilliant. So one of my little stats for you is 24-hour fast. In men, you get a 2,000% spike in growth hormone. It is that big.
Yeah.
Another paper I should link you to for you to link to all your followers and subscribers and members of your Mankel of the Matter Club and all this kind of stuff. Peace, Mabel. So I time it to go at 1 o'clock because I then got this nice spike in growth hormone by sort of 8 p.m. And then I'm getting a 10 p.m. spike of growth hormone.
So you're just getting massive bang for your buck.
Massive. I don't condemn anyone that likes to not eat all day and then eat at night and then fast, because that's effective in its own right. I'm just using the science and the way I see it to absolutely optimize it, and just, like you say, get the most bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Because just logically, from that perspective, there might be a limit with different people, different genetics of how much growth hormone you can produce. But growth hormone is the shit. It is the thing that repairs us, delays the aging.
Well, I was sort of getting mine synthetically beforehand, and that was through MK677, and I did feel.
What is that?
That's like it's a hormone secretagogue. It's a compound.
Okay.
Obviously, growth hormone to purchase proper growth hormone is extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Which is why, if you can utilize your own production of growth hormone to maximal effect, then why wouldn't you do that? But as I say, like for myself, like with work and the inability to get good quality sleep, I decided to take MK677, and it's relatively cheap in comparison to growth hormone. And to be fair, my skin improved, my hair improved as well. Everything grew a lot quicker. So like nails, hair, but quality of.
When did you take it? Sorry, just to put in. What age did you take it at?
Only recently, mate. Only recently.
Okay.
Yeah, prior to the competition, I would look into it. MK677. It's interesting stuff. It's like I suppose it's a derivative of a SARM.
SARM, yes, that could be a whole other conversation like that. But,
yeah, maybe have another conversation about that. I'm a big fan of SARMs, but there you go.
my flatmate was taking some of them as well, and I believe he noticed quite some gains. I noticed when you put pictures up, just how, I'm going to use the word, but how swole he looked after about.
I mean, that was over
2 weeks.
I think it was between 4 and 6 weeks.
Man,
the differences
that was so noticeable.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, maybe another topic of conversation.
I'm definitely going to look into stuff like that.
Yeah.
Man, I could talk for hours about this stuff. It's what I live for. But,
So just to confirm, like your eating period would be early. So what time we're talking?
Yep. So let's say I get up at 7 in the morning. I'll do a bit of lifting or try and do a bit of just general stretching, anything to get the blood circulating. I would have, before lockdown, it was doing fasted workouts, fasted cardio, fasted biking everywhere, 20 hours plus. Get up at 7, I'd have my first meal about 10. Protein shake, specialised one that I make for myself, cup of tea. I'm always trying to keep it low carb, apart from on certain days. I have occasionally broke that as well. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm human.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, is there? You know, like it's as you say, you're human. You're not a robot, so.
But then it's what I then do is if I'm going to plan for an alternate day fast, I then stop at 1 o'clock. This is what I did yesterday. I stopped at 1 o'clock, and then it's literally black tea, apple cider vinegar, salts for electrolytes, a bit of any sort of form of citric acid to maximise fat mobilisation. I have a little formula there as well, a little routine with that. And then nothing till the next day. I have another workout, sort of maybe 21, 22 hours into the fast. And then try and break it again at 1 o'clock the next day. And then on that day, I'd eat from 1 till 8 or 1 till 9. And then I'm getting 16 hours fasting in for that day. But the reason for the alternate fasts is because your body also gets used to fasting. The insulin then gets used to not responding as efficiently because you're used to then the fasting. So I try to do it alternate day, don't always succeed. But I try to do it alternate day because then insulin gets shocked again and it gets sensitive again. And that's how I want to keep it. Just like the muscles, you don't work out every single day, or you do, but you rest it and they grow. And
sorry to put in on this one.
that's right.
So what you're saying is, like, instead of doing something like a 48-hour fast, do a 24-hour fast, and then you have a break, and then you go back to it again. Because if you used to do a 48-hour fast, what would happen is your body would get smart to the fact that you're fasting. Is that what you're saying?
Well, just even going up to 24 hours, your body starts to adapt, starts to become a fat-burning machine, starts to normalize itself at a certain peak of performance. And so you want to bring it back down a little bit. You want to just eat a little bit more. You want to increase that eating window of say from 2 hours or 1 hour if you do a 1 meal a day to 8 hours, 10 hours, because you want to shock the system again. You know as good as anyone that our bodies are in this homeostasis, constant adaptation, constant change. You need to keep it adapted. On the topic of a 48-hour, 36-hour fast, once a month is what's recommended by most of the people in the industry.
Because the way I was going to do it was I was going to do it once a week. So I was going to do most probably a 36-hour fast, a monk fast every week. But obviously, if you say that's not a beneficial thing,
it's just not efficient. You could do it every fortnight, definitely. The other thing is as well is, while we're in this viral pandemic, is that any sort of fast that's longer than 24 hours, it's going to be a little detrimental to any type of viral response, because you need that acute inflammation for any initial immune response to tackle any sort of virus, if you have it or not. You do during a fast, especially after 24 hours, you start to become a little bit more susceptible to infection, because your body is in a more, we'll call it a desperate state. I can't figure out the word to say at the moment, but you're in a catabolic state at that point. That's when viruses are very opportune, doing what viruses do. While we're in this pandemic mode, we'll call it whatever all of this period is, I'm keeping my fast down to 20 to 24 hours at the moment. Because I want to just keep that acute inflammation response, but keep the inflammation away at the same time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, my thought process for doing the 36-hour fast, just because I didn't find it relatively difficult. I didn't look into the science behind it, but what I was thinking was, if I was to do the 36-hour fast, obviously it creates a calorie deficit to some extent, and to be honest with you, like, my eating habits at the moment are pretty shocking. So I was thinking more from a body composition point of view. Just having that little break now and again from eating crap, and just creating like a more of like a weekly, potentially a weekly small deficit as opposed to what I'm having at the moment. So
absolutely, that's the right idea.
Yeah, and then that means I can drink whiskey.
That's what it was. I was wondering what he's pouring.
No, it's not whiskey. It's rum. It's rum. It's actually rum.
It's rum. Yeah. I literally, I feel so innocent when I say stuff like this, but I literally tried my first rum the other day, and no, not the other day, the other month, and it's burning out my nose. I was like, that is petrol.
Well, this is what the reason I'm doing this is practice, mate. So when we eventually do come away from lockdown, I'm not going to be like a Timmy 2, mate.
I'm going to be starving. I'm starving.
To be honest with you, I had, because I don't drink a lot either, in all fairness. This is just, we're having a little chat and I felt like having a little beverage. But
the beverages. Sorry. Yeah.
I think I had a few cans the other week, and honestly, like half a can into it, and I was feeling drunk. Yeah.
Oi!
So this is like my way of sort of like getting used to it. So when we do have that big party after lockdown, I'm not going to be that embarrassing person.
Everyone's going to be embarrassing. I think the people that don't drink and stay sober, everyone will be like, "You're such a freak. Look at you. What are you doing? You got your freedom back, mate." Where was we? 36-hour fast. Mm-hmm. You're on the right logic there. Every 2 weeks would be absolutely fine. And if you think you've got a bad diet at the moment, it'd be perfect. It's a full recycling of the system. Another thing a 36-hour fast does: complete reset of immune system. Clears away the debris. Clears away all of the old immune cells that are still floating around you. All your phagocytes, the cells that eat up the bacteria, and T cells, your helper cells, which are the ones that attack the cell when the virus is inside, destroy the cell, destroy the virus. Absolutely perfect. So I'll say all that damage you're doing to yourself with that terrible diet, your quote, not mine.
It's true.
It's true. It's damn true. All that damage you're doing, you'll be reversing quite a lot of it, and you mentally as well. You're going to feel good from undoing all of that damage.
I just think from my personal perspective, I like to be in control, and if my diet's not on point, I feel like I'm sort of, I won't say I'm letting myself down, but I just don't feel comfortable because I know that I could be controlling that situation. But at least with the fast, it feels like I'm doing something proactive, and mentally I'm practicing discipline, which is, for me, that is the main benefit for me personally from a mental perspective.
And I know you as well. You're very highly accountable individual. You're very much, because you've got a lot of clients as well. Like you said before, you've got to prove to them you're their spiritual guide. Let's say you're the one they're going to look up to.
Yeah, I think to some extent, but at the same time, as you said, like we're human beings. It's, I think, the ability not to put on too much put on yourself too much pressure is a vital tool as well.
I think it's kind of, you've got, like, not to be too unhuman about it, but you've got to use that word, compartmentalize it. When you do have that breakdown, it's like, I try not to let anyone see it, because I want to keep strong, so that other people like take a bit of influence from that and go, oh wow, like I'm sure we'll get into the motivation during lockdown thing like later on in this talk, because I mean I could carry on with a lot of stuff, but it's just about compartmentalizing it. So you just, because especially with your profession, is that you're a guru. Like, if you break down, these people are paying you money are going to be like, oh man, if this strong guy breaks down, this guy is so self-accountable. Oh, I got no chance. Oh,
So yeah, sort of, but I do think people like to see the humanistic side of you as well.
Yeah, that too.
The vulnerability of being human is also the thing that, it helps us as well. It gives us drive.
It's I feel like it's you the way we connect with human beings, like the way I see it, is that you do connect through your vulnerabilities. That's how you make friends with people. Your friends know your daily little secrets and all that sort of stuff. It's like it's being strong and vulnerable at the same time. Like,
Do what I think it is as well. I think it's because I look at things, or used to look at things, as pure black and white, not as in like there's no shade of grey. But in reality, if you're a robot, you're thinking in binary. But we're not robots; we're humans. So there's lots of different shades of grey, and I think that's when people can relate to you when they see that you are a human being.
That's how you make friends, isn't it?
Yeah.
Think of all those rich people driving Ferraris. Just look at them and think, no one loves you. You're really sad. Like, you have to drive this Ferrari around to have attention. Do all these rich people love each other? Bill Gates meets Warren Buffett, and they're like, oh, shaking hands. Fucking hate each other. They must hate each other. Donald Trump meets the other billionaires. He's like, you're a piece of shit, and I think, you're a piece of shit, Nice to see you, mate.
I think what happens is, like, yeah, we've perceived success. Often that person has to give away a little bit of their humanity.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of the bad parts about business. Like sometimes in order for you to be successful, you do have to sort of like remove yourself a little bit as a human being. And the same with training as well. There's the same with, like, but it's just, I think it's the ability to balance, to balance that out, that robotic side, which will help you with, staying accountable and being disciplined.
Yeah.
Not to the point where you lose all sense of self and you become the pursuit rather than the human being that is doing the pursuit as a a passion.
I saw your thing earlier on laziness, and yeah, especially in this lockdown, is like, you got to look at it both sides. You see people just consuming Netflix, just consuming takeaways, and then there's those other maniacs like 100%. You can do this. You can build this. Like, we can do this. We can be this. We can be this one day. We can be this one day. You said it in your thing as well, like a restoration day. It's true. And someone I saw on the internet is like, maybe laziness is just your subconscious telling you that this thing that you're doing doesn't work for you. And I thought,
I saw the same thing. It was Gary Vee, right?
Right. Yep, that's the one. I only just learned about him.
It really resonated with me, to be fair, as I'm sure it did yourself. There's those things, isn't there, like where you might have somebody who is very intelligent but doesn't necessarily do very well at school because
don't apply himself well.
Yeah, or because they just don't find the content stimulating, but then you get them in a facet.
That was me at school. I came out of school with no grades. I left school at 15.
Yeah.
And then took 4 years to get through college. Just an insight so that I'm not just some random guy on a podcast, like I don't know what he's on about, but I went through, did my bachelor's in genetics, did a lot of biochemistry with that, a lot of physiology. But didn't pass my genetics masters in cancer. Had my accident, but yeah, I learned a lot of that stuff from that level.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell, and I know, like, even several years.
School was useless. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, mate.
sorry. What I was going to say was that you can tell that you're passionate about this. The fact that you've got some of the tattoos that you've got as well. Sort of
Oh man, you remember that? I'm blushing.
Yeah.
If you can see that or not. Yeah.
What is it? Is it dopamine?
That's what everyone says. No, wrong. Completely different structure. This is
Cocaine.
the genetic code as cocaine. I actually sniff it off there. And this one I do this way. No. It's I'll tell you a little secret, but I mean it doesn't really matter now because it's like 7-8 years ago. But this is the tattoos for the chemical structure of DNA.
Right.
And this little one here is the RNA uracil. And I actually got it because I enjoyed the structures, but it helped me in a few exams.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is. So here's a little trick for you. If you want to pass your exams, just get it tattooed on your body.
It only costs you 80 quid. Don't worry about it.
Definitely
it's worth it. Maybe. I'll give you one more little secret. Like anyone that watches, I used to take toilet breaks halfway through, and I would write some of the answers on the toilet roll, like that I'd predicted.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, went completely wrong because I'd be like, I'd studied this question, didn't even come up. Fuck. What is an exam? It's just a random access memory test.
It
Doesn't
is.
mean fuck all.
Yeah.
It's crap, but yeah, you're right. School doesn't teach you much.
Mm-hmm.
And to go even back further in our conversation of laziness, is I think schools teach people laziness.
You do.
Because schools are terrible. They teach you all of the right answers, and they don't teach you how to make mistakes and learn from them.
Not only that,
mistakes are bad.
It doesn't really teach you independent thought.
No, you must conform. You must think like this. You must do it in this way. If it's a scientific subject, fair enough, because that's science. Certain things you just can't argue with. Not all of it. It's certainly a debatable topic.
Yeah.
But how to conduct yourself, you're an individual. One more story. We'll get back to fasting, but it's funny. In nursery, my mum said I used to walk around with wellies on my hand and pretend to be a seal going, ooh, 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 like this. And all the other kids used to laugh. And my teacher went, "You're being so stupid, Rhys Davey. Get back and study." And I was like, mm. And then my mum actually did something good. She stood up. She's like, if he's making these kids laugh, what's the problem with that? And she couldn't actually answer it because she's so conditioned to teach.
Yeah. And again, I suppose it comes down to that robot and human.
Yes, absolutely. It's teaching you to be a robot. You always get the right answers because robots are always right. No. Mistakes. People that make mistakes. On the topic of billionaires, someone I absolutely adore is Elon Musk. Like, he just don't give a fuck. He's made so many mistakes, but he's a billionaire.
Exactly. I think to be honest, this is something that I mention a lot. If you look at some of the short videos that I've put up recently, the insight, like the sort of like, the motivational ones. I think I said in one the other day about failing 1,000 times. but ultimately that leads to that success. And if you look at anybody who's got any level of success, they've most probably gone through a lot of hardship and made a lot of mistakes.
Colonel Sanders, right, setting up KFC 1,009 times. The Beatles rejected 49 times. Like,
that's what I mean. And
these are icons.
I think it's quite a comforting thing to think about that, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
It just proves that you don't have to get it right on the first go.
No, and that's what school tells you. You have to be right. You have to get the right question in the exam. Not, well, this interpretation might be correct, or that's a really interesting point you've made there. We'll give you a mark for that. No, nothing like that.
All the pioneers of being independent thinkers in their fields, and that's ultimately what's led to the breakthrough, whatever they've discovered.
They've been ostracized constantly in society, but they're the ones that push it forward. No, don't get me wrong. The most important people in society are what I call the bricks and mortar, the people that fix the sewers, the electric, stock the shelves. Because generally, without them, we're all dead, right? We're all back to hunting, caveman, can't make scientific progress. But when you talk about pioneers, someone working on a till in Tesco, like if I don't want to just say, no, I'm sick of this, I need to invent something, I need to fill this niche in the field. So back to fasting, like a lot of people are filling that niche. They're making apps that are making millions of pounds now and making diet plans and all this sort of stuff. These people, pioneers, they are filling gaps in the market that's still open, even in, again, what you said in your video about highly competitive capitalistic market where it's this, that, here now, give me this, give me that, deliver it in one day or else, stuff like that. I think the pressure on people, especially in the Western world, to achieve is extremely high. We need some sort of more gentle philosophy that is still stern, but it's also fair. There's a quote, I think, I'd like to say it's mine, it's original, but what is original nowadays? And it's
let's pretend it is.
let's pretend it is. There's a big thing in America where if you're not successful, you are a loser. You're a loser. And that just separates people into two groups of winners and losers. And I think, no, you get people in between. You get unfortunates. That was a Victorian term for people that are out on the streets or in debtors' jails. You called them unfortunates. You didn't call them losers because a really bad situation might have affected them. So I coined the phrase, whatever. We're agreeing on that, aren't we?
Yeah.
You're a loser by choice. You're an unfortunate by fate and destiny, and you're a winner by both. So if you can choose to be a loser, right, you can choose to just go on benefits, like waste your life. If you're unfortunate and a load of shit happens to you, and you're trying, I won't call that person a loser. That person's unfortunate.
I would say that, like it's okay. So I had something in my head then. I was just like you've got that. I suppose you've got that phrase, haven't you? You fake it till you make it, and like to me that implies like you're trying, and the outcome is you succeed. I actually prefer I prefer be it till you see it. I think that's a better way of.
Never heard that one.
But I think that little quote is getting at what you're saying. Like as long as you're putting the effort in, that to me is winning, and it's just a case of sticking with it till you see that fruition of that effort that you're putting in. And going back to the point of saying, like, anybody who's been successful has most probably failed 1,000 times, you know, that's,
Easily.
you know, the reason why that person has succeeded in the end is because they've not given up. They must probably have gone through a bit, you know, a bit of shit, or maybe a lot of shit. You know, look at J.K. Rowling. What was she on? I think she was on benefits, wasn't she? She was homeless or something like that. I don't know.
Glasgow, council estate, single mother.
Exactly. Look at what's it? Oprah Winfrey. She was abused as a child, massively abused.
Yeah, probably from the ghetto as well.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know about her story.
So you know, those times of adversity might, in the long run, actually be the making of that person. I know some,
Absolutely.
you know, people who have been given all the opportunities in the world don't know what adversity is.
It's suffering.
Yeah, but you
suffering is the great teacher of life.
I agree.
As long as you're willing to learn.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a lesson that you don't necessarily want to learn, but it might be a lesson that you need to learn in order for you to
grow. I've been a musician for quite a long time, and naturally it's one of them things where success is extremely limited. I got an album there. I've worked on it for 8 years, still not done it. And I'm like, when I was 25, I was telling myself, oh, by 30, you know, you got to put it out there, you got to be a millionaire from it, all this stuff. I'm 30 now, I've still not done it. But with time and age, I think, perfect your craft, take the time. It's just, all right, you're only alive for so long, and your golden years will be behind you by the time you're 50, 60, whatever. But take your time, just craft it, make it even better.
I also think that, you know, the point of trying too hard, you know, that phrase like, oh, you're trying too hard, and that's, you know, the reason why you're not succeeding. You know, when you're desperate, it's often you miss things. You're so tunnel visioned in your approach. You know, you miss maybe some of those points that actually do help you progress further.
Tell you what, from a creative aesthetic point of view, when I've been too tunnel visioned on a project, like finishing a song or writing some lyrics, tell you what, I've had writer's block for 4 to 6 months, not even touched it.
Exactly.
I've done that so many times. And it's frustrating.
Same with training, to be honest with you. In my opinion, you know, when I've, you know, like I'm an obsessive by nature. So, you know, I've got to points in the past where I've trained to a point of physical and mental burnout, which is not nice in the slightest, but because I've been so focused on achieving that, whatever it was, it most probably was nothing, to be honest with you, but, you know, I had the goal in mind, whatever that goal was. It's been at the detriment of my health. And the times where I actually, you know, relax a little bit, have a glass of rum, whatever, you know, things tend to fall into place. Things tend to work a lot more efficiently because there's not that massive amount of pressure to perform.
So it's the creativity aspect again. Creativity is ushered in by, say, things like boredom, things like, oh, well, I can just sit back and I can just make this thing now rather than...
Exactly. The pressure's off. Pressure's off, right?
Deadline. Got a deadline. I got to write it. You know, like people doing exams or essays. When I was doing essays and all this kind of crap in the university, it's like, and I'd look at it with a clear head, like just once in a blue moon. I'd be like, this is shit.
Yeah.
This is rushed. There's so many spelling mistakes. So much bad research.
Yeah. I suppose
take your time.
That could apply to your need to be a certain way, perform a certain way, you know, so the thing that I'm thinking of at the moment is Dorian Yates. And he was saying, like, at the start of his career, he thoroughly enjoyed it. And then towards the back end of his career, it started to become a job and a necessity. And that was when he got all of his injuries and ended up having to having to retire because he had I think it was like a torn bicep and tricep detachment or something like that, which basically just ended his career as a professional bodybuilder in the end. But, you know, prior to that, he was, you know, flying.
Yeah, he was a man. I remember, was it his pictures up that were in peak physique?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Dorian Yates? Yeah, like that was, I looked at him and I was like, all right, I'm going to try a bit of a natural version of this guy. Didn't work out, but it was amazing seeing that picture, you know?
To be honest with you, like looking at your physique now, it looks so much better than it did before. And I'm guessing a lot of that is to do with your fasting and your application of the knowledge that you've on it.
I would, yeah. So coming back to this, like the full loop that we've done now is, I would say absolutely. My stomach is so flat. Oh God, love handles. There's a better name for it, but love handles disappearing like that, even at this age where that fat storage in certain areas on men in particular starts becoming more prominent and, you know, less likely to go. That disappears. There's tone. All right, I feel a little bit skinny sometimes because that glycogen is off the muscles, especially after sort of a fasted workout, 24 hours. Fasting is not the be all and end all. I'll just say that to people now. I live a low carb diet when possible, and I try. Eventually, I hope to set up a business in that, but that's again another story. But in my experience, if you want to be a power lifter, if you want to do ultra marathons, don't do too much fasting.
Mm-hmm.
You need those carbs to have that glycogen, to have that glucose ready. The glucose being the instant energy source.
I was going to say, ultimately, it is an energy source ultimately, but I do think for the average Joe, fasting could be the answer.
Absolutely, fasting. You're utilizing fat. You're utilizing fatty acids, ketones. You are in ketosis after 16 plus hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's so. If we ever get a chance to do a talk on keto and that aspect of lifestyle, that's just a complete other field to go into. Just from a fasting point of view, getting into ketosis, you are in an optimal energy state. You are burning premium fuel in your car, whilst glucose it's the unleaded stuff. It's dirty. It creates a lot of free radicals when it's metabolized. It damages neurons. It damages glial cells in your dendritic cells, in your connective tissue, all this sort of stuff over time. It's just not what we're meant to be doing, having too much glucose. So when I linked it back to powerlifters and having that glycogen being the stored version of glucose, insulin blocking glycogen storage because it promotes the glucose. So again, another bad point about insulin there is if you are a powerlifter or someone doing strength stuff, load up on the carbs, absolutely fine. Ultra marathon runner, load up on that glycogen, absolutely fine. Everyone else, start doing fasting. Get over the myths. Another thing I'd actually like to go through with you, if you've got the time, because I've realised I've got the time now, is I've had a lot of, we'll call them debates, but a lot of PTs that I've talked to in my gym, they've got very personal with it because they're old school nutrition, gym bro science, all that sort of stuff. And it's the emphasis on nutrition versus hormones.
Okay.
And they think that having, so you'll know about the anabolic window where you got, where it is a myth. I'm going to say that to everyone. Challenge me on it. Fine. I'm up for it. The idea that you've got to load yourself with the carbs and the protein and get that drinking as soon as you've worked out. No,
I think
you're blocking.
It's bullshit in my opinion. I think if your diet is balanced, you're most probably going to get adequate proteins, carbohydrates, and fats
Yes.
throughout the day. Yeah, I think the anabolic window, like I used to adhere to it 100%. Like, and if I didn't get,
yeah, I did as well.
If I didn't get 30 grams of protein in within the hour, I was losing my head. But now I'm a bit about it. And yeah, I've come to realize that it's more to do with the overall nutritional profile that you have rather than that specific time.
Let me put emphasis for anyone that does watch on it. Hormones over nutrients, more important. So you get a pre-fasted workout. So you've done 20 hours fast and you're at the gym in the morning. So you've got that massive growth hormone spike. And then you're working out. So you've got sleep growth hormone spike. You've got fasting growth hormone spike. And then you get the growth hormone from lifting, and especially strength lifts. So, and then if you're going to do any of the big free compound movements, massive growth hormone spike.
So let me ask you a question, because for me, training on an empty stomach is most probably detrimental towards my performance.
Because you do a lot of strength stuff, right?
Yeah. So yeah. Are you saying like if it's like more to do with like hypertrophy and body composition, high rep ranges, most probably will benefit you?
I would even argue as low as 5 reps. So if you're just going to do a 5 times 5 program, doing a fasted workout in that would be extremely beneficial. Anything lower than that, yeah, I'm on your side with that, because you're not going to get the strength push. I say that from anecdotal experience and my own experience when I've done strength workouts. When you sent me that strength workout, was it last year? I think, yeah, it was last year. Yeah. I did a few experiments for myself. I did pre-fasted versus breakfast. Yeah, I didn't move as much weight when I was fasted. That glycogen depleted, that extra energy in the muscle gone. When I did a different type of workout, 5+ reps, 5 to 12 reps, let's say, that type of workout range, man, did I feel swole? Did I feel big? Did I feel clean? Did I feel powerful?
Nice.
Amazing. So there's also 2 ways of looking at it. So you've got pre-fasted workout, what we just did there, and there's the one that people don't do very often, which I've been experimenting, is post-fasted workout. And it's all like, whoa, you gotta get your thing in within an hour. You've got to get
You're a maverick.
Nutritional. You're weird, man. You're weird. I walk around my gym without any shoes on and socks. People look at me like I'm a freak, and like I've even had people go, "Oh, you're gonna hurt yourself, man."
Have you ever walked around the gym with jumper on and pants off?
That's the next one. My weird friend.
Next level.
My weird friend who he used to fast for 3 days at a time, and I'm not making that up. He was insane. He's Christian as well, so it's part of his religion to fast for that long. He'd probably done his 3 days Lent recently.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
He used to walk around the gym in a bloody bathrobe and just slippers, and they'd allow him in. I was like, God, man, you are free. What a free-minded person you are.
Does what he wants when he wants.
Yeah, mate, he was inspiring. He used to do it with me, and I realised actually that we used to, without thinking about it, post-workout fast, because we'd go to the gym together. We'd do a big session, and because we pushed each other, it was a big session.
Yeah.
Then we'd go walking for 3 or 4 hours. Won't consume a single calorie. Man, did I feel amazing.
So, like, what is the science behind that?
Yes. So, when you've done your workout, when you've got that hypertrophy workout, or even just a 5 times 5, you're then in a state of protein synthesis. And that is basically where the muscles are, with hypertrophy, the muscle cells the growth hormone still spiking, and it'll spike for about another hour afterwards. And if you're going to consume something, you're going to promote an insulin response. And here's one for you: insulin blocks growth hormone. Period. It's more powerful in terms of the endocrine system.
Mm-hmm.
So when you consume straight away after lifting, you're blocking that growth hormone. You're blocking that repair. You're going to have a hell of a lot more injuries. And I've noticed it, that I feel better when I've done a workout and I bike home and I deliberately say hang around in like town centre or something, doing something else like shopping, to keep delaying the time that it takes before I eat
How
again.
long we're talking? Like maybe an hour? 2 hours?
At least an hour. An hour is the absolute minimum, but I won't go any further than 4 or 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Because the research into that, I've not really found much stuff. And about 3 hours in, I start to feel a little bit weak. So
yeah,
that's the body just telling me, yeah, you need those nutrients now.
Good stuff. It's well, it sort of goes against the grain, I guess, but it's something that I do like. I'm pretty open-minded. Like I'd be willing to give it a go, for sure. What I did notice when I did that fast, however, was so post competition, I was weighing in at about 98 kilo, and then over the space of several weeks, it's dropped. I'm talking a couple of months, in fact. And lockdown where it was between 93 and 95. I did that fast and I went to about 91. And since then, I've not put on the weight. So I'm sticking around 91 now.
Yeah.
Which, again, like the numbers don't mean everything, but it's interesting why that's not come back up as a result.
I would say that is a more sensitive insulin response that is stuck as well, which is a really good sign that you've become, to a degree, fat adapted to the point where now your body's like, I'm going to start burning a lot more fat. I'm going to keep that fat off you because you've been in starvation mode. Like, your body thinks, whoa, man, I've not eaten for 36 hours. Not even a single calorie, or just a few, like a berry off a bush. If it was just in the Stone Ages, just anything like that. The effects of fasting, especially after 37 hours, they stick with you for a little while.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why you don't really need to do 37 hours too often.
So tomorrow I'm gonna train. I'm not gonna lie, I'm most probably gonna train after I've eaten. But on the evening, this is how I like to do my fasting. I like to do like a sort of like, I'm going to call it a cheat fast, where I'll get a lot of those hours of fasting during sleep. So
it's not a cheat. It's not a cheat, mate.
it's meant like, I wouldn't say physically, it is mentally, I suppose, if you're looking at like being hardcore.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, I suppose what I'm doing is I'm just utilizing sleep to my advantage.
Why not?
Yeah, so I'm thinking like 9 o'clock. Say if I go to bed at even 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock the next morning, that's 12 hours. And then 10 o'clock on the evening would be 24. So if I was to do a 24-hour fast, then 10 o'clock on the evening would be when I would consume.
Right.
But it wouldn't. But for yourself, that's probably not the most beneficial way to do it, because obviously you want to get that growth hormone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So a better way to do it might be for me to consume at 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll start to eat at 10 o'clock tomorrow, and then fast, and then go all the way through, and do it that way rather than.
So this is 10 a.m. You're talking, right?
Yeah. So say if I eat at 10.
How long do you want your eating window to be? So 10 a.m. till.
Should we say 12?
Yeah, so 2 hours. Yeah, it's pretty good. That's what I do anyways.
Yeah. and then I would not eat for 24 hours after that, yeah?
Yep, absolutely. If you can manage it as well, if
Mm-hmm.
you could train, I always try and get the food prepared, but some of it does take cooking. I don't want to sort of wait around for things. If I'm going to do 24 hours in those hours that you've stated there, is that I'd train at say 10:30, train for an hour, get to 11:30, and then I'm sort of, man, I am craving food, but
You've
mentally,
sort of earned it in a sense as
yeah,
well. Like
that's
what
the
I used to
word.
do, what I found worked very well for body composition was to do semi-fasted cardio first thing in the morning. So what I would do is I'd wake up and I'd have like maybe a coffee, some coconut oil within that coffee, and then go for like like a bulletproof coffee. Go for half an hour jog, and then after that, then I'd reward myself with the nutrition that my body's craving, and that seemed to work pretty well. Whether
You know,
that
man, if anyone, you know, what I think it is, man, is it's the old instinct of hunting coming in. You've gone out in the
yeah,
morning, you've gone and hunted for your meal, and now you're
that's
like,
to be honest with you,
you know,
that was the thought process that went through my head. I
yeah,
imagined like this is like how fucked up I am. I imagined that I was in a tribe, and I was like leading the tribe, and we was hunting down an animal of sorts, and
yeah.
that's what would be going through my head when I was jogging, which is like really fucking weird, but it motivated me massively. That was the main aim behind it, and it worked. So, but yeah, I'm gonna have to, I think I'm gonna have to wrap this up pretty quick, mate, because the disk is almost full on my computer.
Yeah, it's all right, man.
Um,
I'm glad
but
I'm taking up space in your computer, you know.
you're immortalized on David's
Ah,
computer.
your internet browser history is forever.
Right, so I'll wrap it up here. But really interesting stuff, mate, and I am going to apply it myself. Tomorrow, I'll most probably do. I'm thinking I'm going to do a benching session. So what I'll do is I'll train, empty, and then consume afterwards, and then do that 24 hours
Yeah.
after that.
Ah, the benefits, man. The benefits you're gonna feel from that.
I'm not going to
Just
have a lot of stimulants to get me going.
right, one more thing to get it through is if anything like a sweetener will also break you fast,
Okay.
because your body will also mimic the feeling of sweetness as actual sugar that's coming into the system.
So you're talking. So what you saying? Black tea, coffee.
Oh no, that's fine. Those are fine. But if you was to say put like some sucralose or any sort of crap, or even even that will break a fast, because the
Right.
body, I can't remember the pathway, but basically the body's like, I'm getting fed sugar. Oh, it's a bit like soy, where it doesn't actually contain estrogens, but it contains phytoestrogens that are telling your body to produce estrogen.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing.
Right.
So not like that. No fruit teas or anything. That'll do the same as well. Just keep it simple, mate. Keep
What
it
about
really
gum?
simple.
Because like obviously gum has a layer of sweetness on it.
Yeah, gum has xylitol on the top of it, which is pretty good. But even xylitol is a sugar alcohol. It will cause just a slight insulin spike. It's not something I'd personally risk.
So if we want to go hardcore, we're sticking to caffeine and
Yep.
just the caffeine.
Good one for you. Good one for you is Red Bull Zero. That will not break a fast.
Lovely.
Yeah, when I've felt really bad on a fast, I've had one of them, crack straight back onto it. Doesn't happen often. Yep, black tea, black coffee, green tea, brilliant, love it. Sorts me out on the
I
fast.
get off my head on green tea. I'm not bullshitting you. I really do.
I sniff green tea, man. You seen my other Instagram
I'll
profile?
trump you on that, mate. I get baths in green tea.
Man, I gotta do better than that, mate. I tell you, I'm gonna have to do better
Absorption
than
through
that.
the skin. Osmosis of the green tea.
I'm gonna inject it right in that vein now, mate.
Right, I'm gonna wrap up, mate. But it's a pleasure talking to you, mate. Good to see you again as well.
Yeah, it's been fascinating.
Each other for a while, have we? So always interesting conversations with yourself, and lots of good quality information on fasting. I'm interested in it myself. I'm going to apply it tomorrow, and I'll let you know how I get on with it.
Absolutely. I'll send you all those links as well, and papers and such.
Yeah,
for further reading.
Awesome, mate. Appreciate your time. Stay safe, mate, and I'll be in touch with you anyway. If you want to do another podcast on something slightly different, I'll be well up for that as well.
I got a load of topics to talk about, man. So
lovely,
all
mate.
Good.
Okay. Right. Well, take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you soon.